Hi, Tiger football fans. You're about to see the last show of this year's editions of the 1995 Tigerland Football Show. Last week we had a rerun of our Holdridge game, and tonight when we're done with the show we will run and talk about our Aurora football game and show you that game film in its entirety. As many of you know, Aurora has gone on to win their next two games in the playoffs and beat Seward 28-14, I believe the score was in that game. And then Monday afternoon, went ahead and beat Scotts Bluff in the semifinal round 42-7. And as you sit and watch those games, it sure makes us wish as coaches we were still out there playing, and I'm sure we have a lot of players that wish that they were still out there playing. But as it is, Aurora will host the 1995 Class B state championship game, and they will play Lincoln Pius. So I think this Saturday, and the game time has not been determined yet. I'm sure it will be by tonight, but that will be a good football game, and if you're avid football fans, there'll be some really good games around the area, including that one. Also on Saturday, I'm sure many of you know by now, Hastings College is going to host a playoff game too, and I believe that's been set at 1 o'clock, and they're going to play Sioux Falls. And here in town, we'll also have the St. Cecilia Class C2 title game, so there's going to be a lot of good football games around the area on Saturday. Looking back at our season, just real quickly, we felt we had a good chance at the beginning of the year to be successful. We knew we had a lot of key players to replace, but we had some kids step up and really do a pretty nice job for us. Unfortunately, the 6 games that we did lose, with our final record being just 4-6 this year, the 6 games we did lose were all games that we were in and all games that we could have won. And the only reason I bring that up is as a coach, it's sometimes disappointing when you're in those games and you don't get the job done. Almost more disappointing than if you just flat get blown out of a football game. There were times in the game when we got into crucial situations that teams just had better players than we did. But then there was also times where we felt we had the right defenses or right offenses called, but just did not come up and make the big play like we had been doing the last 2 or 3 years, and really that's the difference between an average season and a good or a great season, and that's making those key plays when you need them. As we look at our third down conversion ratio on offense and also our third down conversion as far as holding our opponents on defense, we did not fare very well this year, and the coaches are in the process right now of taking a closer look at those and seeing how we can improve those on next year's team, but that is a very key statistic as we've been talking all year. We really feel defensively we need to hold our opponents to 1 out of every 3 third down attempts. And on offense, we want to be in the 50 to 60% range. If we feel if we can do that, we're going to be pretty successful. That was one area that we probably did not do a very good job at. Another area as we look back is we feel that we probably did not have as good an off season as we have had the past couple years in the weight room. The majority of our kids, gave a pretty good effort in there, and many of them gave a great effort. But we had a handful of seniors and underclassmen alike that we feel probably could have got a lot more done during those 9 months during the off season, and that is something again that the coaches are going to have to get after this year if we expect to be more productive in those crucial situations next year. We believe that a lot of those 3rd and 4th down conversions start during the off season. As we are testing out in the weight room this week, as we prepare to get into our off season training, that's something that we are going to keep reminding our athletes is one of the big reasons that you don't convert those tough situations is because you haven't converted them in the weight room, and we think mentally and physically a lot of that work gets done there. But the Aurora game itself was a hard-fought contest. Those of you that were there and saw a lot of hard hitting. Besides bringing in a unique offense with their no-huddle Maryland eye, they brought a pretty stingy defense. Although it was a defense that we felt as we were preparing for it that we could run on. And indeed we did have over 200 yards rushing, and I think when you can get 200 yards rushing on a team that's playing for the state championship, you've done a pretty good job. We only threw the ball 9 times and completed just 2. But in our passing game's defense, it was not a big part of our game plan. Yes, we thought we could run the ball on them indeed, and as I said a minute ago, we did a good job there. And also we had about 4 drop passes, 2 crucial drop passes in some key situations. And we did not convert a couple of fourth down situations that we had the opportunity to. On our next last attempt on driving the football, we put a new spread formation in for our punt, and Tom Chick, our punter, saw that they had left one of our wide receivers uncovered, not expecting that sort of formation. And Tom threw a nice pass, completed it down to the 20-yard line that would have kept our drive alive, and hopefully with that momentum could have scored. But we had a motion penalty on the play, and of course then that backed us up 5, and we ended up having to punt the football. So we felt we did have our chances, as we did in many of the games this year, but just didn't get it done. So with that, I think I'll mention a few thank yous here now. I want to tell all the kids that have been behind the scenes on the program all year that the coaching staff and the players sure appreciate their hard work. And as we talked to John Vance here the last couple weeks on the show, those kids put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and they're under the direction of a lady that I always say was voted most likely to succeed, Mrs. Jane Rodas, and Mrs. Rodas is back there now. And Mrs. Rodas, we appreciate the work that you've done for us too, and all the different ways that you help our students here at the high school. So you people behind the scenes, give yourself a big pat on the back, because you're doing a great job. And when we started this program 7 years ago under Sandy Peterson's direction, we have come a long, long way since then, and each year it seems to be getting a little bit better. So I want to thank you people. I also want to thank our administration, starting with Bob Motter, our athletic director, and then our 3 principals, Harry Grimminger and Lanny Pettit and Mike Merrimie. They have given our football program a lot of time and effort, and have really been a good supporting group for us. And Mr. Mottero spends countless hours up here working on not just football, but all of our activities, and a lot of the work that he does goes unnoticed. So again, fellas, thank you for that. And then again, for the fans, again, this year we had great attendance, and there were several games at home where when our players got to the field to warm up, there was already people waiting to get into the stands, and we sure do appreciate that at home, and also the way that you supported us on the road. We wished we could have got you a few more wins, but sometimes that's just the way high school athletics work. I can assure you that the kids were out there giving a great effort, not only on Friday nights, but during the practice week. And then the last thank you I want to give is to our senior class. Through the years, they have been a big, big part of getting our football program to where it is today. And as we've said before, and one of my favorite sayings as a coach is, we're not where we want to be, but we're really glad that we're not where we used to be. And our seniors are a big part of that. So seniors, as you go ahead and watch your last Tigerland football show, hats off to you. We wish you continued success throughout the rest of your school year here, and many of you will be participating in other activities. And then as you move on, whether you're going to go to college or get out in the workforce or into the armed forces, whatever you decide to do, we hope that you remember your Tiger football team and keep them close to your heart, as we will. And down the road, we'll be having some different reunions, and we'll get out some of these old game tapes, and we'll enjoy reminiscing about the fun times we've had. But it's the players that make it really enjoyable for the coaches. And as we said this year many times during our Sunday meetings with the coaching staff, we had a lot of good kids in that senior bunch. There really wasn't any jerks in there, any ones that we did not enjoy having on the team, and kids that for the most part gave a great effort throughout the year. So again, seniors, thank you. If you stay tuned, we're going to roll the Aurora tape, and we will give you a little play-by-play analysis this week. Thanks for joining us this year, and we'll look forward to an exciting time next year as we bring you another show and another version of our Tiger football. Okay, as we kick off the game, this was one of the very few times in my 19 years of coaching that we won the toss and decided to take the wind. At first it looked like it might have backfired on us, as Mike does not get a real good kick. He kind of hit the ground first, but when the Aurora player grabbed the ball, he ended up getting his knee down, so they're going to start out on their 20-yard line. And they come up the middle on us right off the bat, and you could see Brad Davis and Pete Shear and a host of other tacklers do a great job in there. It looks like Josh Bartley, wearing number 66 for this game, by the way, getting up off the bottom of the pile. The reason we chose to take the wind is it was gusting, really. I mean, those of you who were at the game saw that it was a tough, tough wind. And what we were hoping to do is hold them on their first possession, make them punt into the wind, and get good field position. And indeed, that's just what happened. As you'll see, the Tigers get a 3-and-out on them, and they drop back into a punt situation and end up making a very not a very good punt, I should say, and we will take over here shortly on their side of the field. Here on 3rd down, they run an option and fumble the football, and at first we thought we came up with it, but the official comes in and tells us it was still going to be their ball and it's going to be 4th down. Now you'll see during the film, it'll take probably just a little bit longer. Mr. Richmond, our filmer, who does a great job for us, lets the camera run because they do run the no huddle. And as you see, they'll come out of their Maryland I, use their same players that they use for their normal offense and drop back into punt formation. Here they tried drawing us off sides, and they end up having some motion, but Scott Reineke ends up fair catching the ball, and we're going to start out on their 48. So the decision to take the wind, in retrospect, ended up being a good decision, and it was one the coaches kind of labored over for a little bit, but as it turns out, ends up real good. We now start the game out pretty well. We're going to go on about a 7 or 8 play drive and get right into the end zone. We run a toss sweep on our first play, and we're not a real big sweep team, but we felt we could get outside on these people, and here Bo decides to cut it up inside and picks up a couple for us. Now we're going to come back with a counter sweep to the weak side, and here we really have a great play going, but we miss a block up on the top side by one of our wide receivers, and Justin picks up a few more. So it brings up 3rd and about 6, and we have an incorrect formation for the play we wanted to call, so we have to burn a timeout right away, and we're glad we did. We're not glad we had to use the timeout, but we're glad we got the play switched. Here we come back with a toss sweep again, and Bo cuts it up inside and just about gets the 1st down, but we're going to end up a yard or so short, less than a yard, and we get a holding penalty on that play also. So it's going to be 3rd and long, and Steve is forced to scramble, and as he's done so many times for us through the last 2 years, picks up some valuable yardage for us on a situation where they had our receivers covered. So as you can look over on the other side at the chains, it's 4th and very short, and we go ahead and sneak it. We've done a great job throughout the years wedge blocking in these situations, and as the referee tells us, it's a 1st down. So we're off and rolling. We're on about the 36-yard line right now out of our 2-back set. And here they run a blitz, and our sophomore lineman, Kenny Cant, who replaced Nick Brown because of his open broken arm, misses the stunt, and Bo really gets popped pretty good. Brings up 2nd and long. Here they jump into a little bit different front. We run an option, and Justin makes some fine cuts behind some real good blocking and just about breaks it all away. Gets it down to about the 12-yard line. So we pick up some great yardage. Yeah, as you saw in that play, we let the last man on the line of scrimmage go, something that we had not been doing very much late in the season. Here, Justin, with great leg drive, gets about 5 yards when it looks like we really don't have much on the play. They stunted the backer again, and our pulling guard, Adam Young, ends up picking him up nicely. So it brings up 2nd and 5, and here they creep the backers up. And Steve has elected to go with a sweep, and we get some great blocking, and Bo waltzes into the end zone. Using some of our zone blocking schemes that we went to late in the year, those blitzes don't usually affect us near as bad as when you're using scheme blocking. Mike Johnson kicks the extra point. So the Tigers make it look pretty easy on their first drive, and as I said, electing to take the win sure helped us. Here Mike gets a little better kick, but at the same time they're going to get a fairly good run back. I guess I'm looking past this great play that we made. Later in the game they get a couple good run backs on us, and I'm not sure who that was making that tackle, but someone came in from the outside and made a great tackle for us. Here they break their Maryland I and go into their power I. They're going to run the same sort of plays out of that. As you'll see, they end up getting a lot of people at the point of attack, and they like to run that off-tackle blast play. That's been pretty much Aurora's bread and butter. Now you'll see them jump up right away, get to the line of scrimmage. The quarterback is taking some signals from a player on the side, and then audibles them in, and they're off and running again. So defensively, we had to limit ourselves a little bit to what we were doing. Here again, they come with the power play off tackle and pick up some good yardage. They're going to put together a pretty nice drive right here as they hustle back to the line of scrimmage. They have one of their coaches that's calling the formation that they're going to use, and then they have one of the players relaying the information from their head coach into the backfield, and the quarterback then alerts everybody as to the play that they're going to run. Here with their motion, they're running basically the same types of play as they do out of their Maryland eye. And first half, our outside backers, we did not feel were playing that blast play the way that we had been practicing it. We wanted to get underneath that play, force it to the outside, which does a couple things. Number one, it makes them run where they don't want to run that play. And number two, it doesn't let their lead back get up inside the kick-out block to seal our linebacker. But time and time again in the first half, you'll see them run that play successfully. And then in the second half, you'll see where we do a great job of defending that play. And really, the second half, I felt our kids did a real fine job in defending a very powerful offense. But at any rate, here they are at the line of scrimmage calling the play again. You can see by running the no huddle, it forces our defensive linemen to be in a stance for a longer time than what they're used to. Here Nate Schaefer comes on an outside stunt and does a nice job coming flat down the line of scrimmage. Our lineup really hasn't changed very much, with the exception with Nick Brown out of there. We brought Adam Young back in at the defensive end on the right side. Third down and short yardage, and they're going to sneak it. And that's way too many yards on a quarterback sneak on third and short. Our players need to be expecting those kind of things, especially when we're running an even front where we're leaving their center uncovered. And there are several times throughout the game where they end up picking up good yardage on the quarterback sneak. Referee gets the ball in place, and they're back in business. As you can see, they're not wasting very much time, forcing our players to speed it up a little bit. Here they run a straight dive to their fullback out of the power eye set. Their linemen, as you can see, and none of them are real big kids. They've got one kid, I believe, that's about 240, but the rest of them are 200 and below. So it was one of the few times during the year that we were not oversized. We might even held a little bit of a size advantage on them. Here's the off-tackle play. Now there we do a little bit better job of stopping it. That's more the kind of scheme that we want to use. Brings up third down again. Had a good crowd on both sides. Of course, Aurora, not being very far away, brought a nice crowd. We had a lot of people from the community and some of the smaller towns in there watching. And here the quarterback is having to yell a little extra loud. It got to be pretty loud down there on the field. They run just a straight power again. And as you can see with those two lead blockers, and they're really making some holes in our line. One thing I will say is it takes a defense a little bit of time to adjust. I think you can see that at every level of football, whether it be the high school level, college, pros. A lot of times a team will come out just as we did with Aurora and really look great that first series, and then little by little the defense starts picking up and figuring things out and adjusting to the speed and quickness that you can't simulate in practice with your scout team players. They ran a lot more power eye at us than they had. Here they run a counter play, and we really have it defended well, but we have a defensive back come up and misses the tackle. And part of the reason for those missed tackles are good backs. And Aaron Collingham is over 2,000 yards now on the season, and you don't see that very often. He picked up a little over 200 yards yesterday in the semifinals. In this situation, the quarterback keeps it, and as a coach, there's only about one thing you can say in that situation, and that is we have a defensive back just completely fall asleep because their tight end in that situation is blocking down hard. And when he blocks down, that corner ought to be getting his read steps and getting up on the line of scrimmage, containing anything that comes outside. And their quarterback made 3 or 4 big plays, and we were disappointed in those plays because we felt during the week that we did a good job of reading those keys and not doing such a good job on game night. First and 10 again for the Huskies, and they've got a nice drive going now. They only end up throwing one pass the entire night. Here they run a trap, and their up back runs over our safety and ends up scoring on an 18-yard play. So right about the time you're really concerned with that off-tackle play, they slip it to the back. Actually, it was a fullback on a trap play, and they're in the end zone. You can see from the flags how hard the wind was blowing, just about as hard as it was a year ago when we played McCook in the championship game. Cullingham is also their kicker. Good all-around athlete, plays some defense for them when they need him. And here Josh Bartley breaks through and does a great job. Josh has had a couple block kicks for us. Actually, that was Josh, but also Hayden Svensson. I believe that actually got the block that time. The ball ended up coming up and hitting him right in the belly, and that stings quite a bit, especially on a cold night. So we're up 7-6. We get a pretty good return out of Scott Reinecke and get the ball out to about the 35-yard line. And we feel anytime we can start outside the 30, we've got a pretty good return. Here we come out of our one back, what we call our tight tray set, 2 tight ends, 2 wide outs. Get a little motion, and we run counter sweep back the other way and pick up about 5-yard line. That was Bo Biankowski carrying the ball. Our second tight end in the game when we go to a 2 tight set is Todd Laird. You've seen a lot of Todd the last 2 games of the year. Here again we come and with the motion run trap out of it and get a pretty nice trap block, and that's Justin Klein. That makes his way outside for a first down to end the first quarter. Our trap play was very successful all night. Here Bo Biankowski again on a trap, ends up picking up big yardage and fumbles the ball, but we end up falling on it and brings up second down. We felt we could run the ball inside the tackles, and really all night we do a nice job. Here we run a straight dive with a little bit different blocking scheme, and we get a couple nice knockdown blocks, and the Tigers are back in business. That was Justin Klein running behind the blocks of Kenny Cant, Adam Young, and Adam White. Come with a little lead play where we pull the backside guard, kick out the end, and Justin picks up about 3 yards on that play. Running a lot of 2 back sets against Aurora. Here we come again with a trap. That's Justin Klein. Does a nice job on our what we call our 43 trap. Looks almost like a dive play. And we're back in business. We're going to come with some motion and run a quarterback sneak on 3rd and short. We use motion in that situation kind of just maybe to try to get some people's attention out there. So on first down and 10 from the 28, and then we let a linebacker blitz and end up catching us for a loss. And we don't like to see that on first down. We were expecting a lot of blitzes on first down, which Aurora had shown in the past. Now Steve comes back and looks for an open receiver, but they do a pretty good job of covering us, and Steve is forced to step up. So now we have a 3rd and 10. Here we do a good job of picking up the blitz, but we don't do a good job of blocking on the outside, and we did not feel we got a real good job of perimeter blocking from our backs in the first half. 4th down, we elect to go for it rather than punt it into the end zone. And Steve can't see anybody and runs it and comes up short by about 6 or 7 yards. On the far view, we actually saw where we had a man open, but a lot of times as the quarterback, when you're in the heat of battle, a lot of big guys around you, it's tough to see. They come right back to their bread and butter play, and you'll notice they're really picking on our left side. They seem to want to run to their right side, our left side, and they're picking up some good yardage. Here they come back with a straight little slant play, a little dive slant play, pick up the first down. Their blast, and again you can see where they're pushing our outside linebackers, trying to kick them out. There Justin does get underneath the play like we worked on and forces them to run it outside. Second down and about 4. Trap picks up a few for him. Aurora's offense is very efficient. They really don't make many mistakes. They're not that fancy. They're going to stick to about 5 or 6 basic running plays, throw a little option in there to keep you off balance, and then do have a nice little play-action passing package that they'll use at times too. But as I said earlier against us, they rushed the ball for about 240 yards, so they really did not need the passing game. Quarterback sneak for the first down. Right, getting close to midfield now. Here they give to the second man, which we call a belly play, and that's Collingham, and you can see why he's rushed for 2,000 yards this year. Breaks many tackles. You don't see very many times where one ball carrier throughout the year has taken him down. He's not a real big kid. They list him as about 165 pounds, but great leg strength, and more than that, he's got good body lean. And that's one thing you really look for in a good back, is that he stays low to the ground, keeps his pads ahead of him as he runs. They're called for motion penalty, so first and 15 situation now. And again, they give to the second man. We do force it outside where we'd like to see that play go. We come up and hold it for about a 2-yard gain. Back to their Maryland eye, second and about 13, 12 or 13. And they're going to come with the option, and we really do a nice job. And again, as we've said many times throughout the year, the same plays that they hurt us on at certain times of the game, in other points of the ball game, we defense them very well. There we had all phases of their option covered. We had the dive back, we had the quarterback, we had the pitch back. Later you'll see them convert down near the goal line easily on the same play. Brings up 3rd and long. They decide to call a timeout. And right on the 30-yard line, as you can see. And here again, the quarterback comes loose, and our defensive back falls asleep. And when he does realize it, we get another missed tackle. So we really felt we were in the position to make big plays. We felt we had a good defensive game plan. We just don't feel that we really executed very well. Here's their blast play again, and they end up getting inside the linebacker. And when they can run that inside your outside linebacker, they're going to get yards, because that lead back that's leading up through the play is going to try to seal your middle backer. Here they run with a little counter ISO, faking to their fullback to one side, leading to the other side with their up back, and that's Justin Klein coming down hard, making a pretty nice play for us. Quarterback's getting the signals from the sideline. Staying with the power eye. He's a little confused, so he gets them again. And they come with their favorite play. And that's Brad Davis getting a piece of him. Brad really did a pretty fair job for us throughout the year. We inserted him halfway through the year. And Brad had a lot of size, not a lot of mobility, not really a great deal of strength, but did a good job of plugging up the area that we wanted to be plugged up, and also did a fairly good job of keeping his linebacker free. Here they come back with the quarterback keep off their blast on 1st down and goal. That's a play they like to go to down on the goal line along with their option. Second and goal now. And again, we talked earlier about the quarterback sneak, and that's just way too much yardage. Both the tackles and our middle backers, it just comes down to not really paying attention, because our tackles in most of our defenses against Aurora were what we call A-gap players. They're going to line up, head up on the guard, and control that inside gap, and obviously they weren't controlling much there. Here they run their blast play, and when they get it down to the 1 or 2 yard line, it's pretty difficult to stop that play unless you can get some real quick, hard penetration. But their linemen do a nice job, and they go in to take their first lead of the game. They elect to go for 2, obviously, with the blocked extra point from the first touchdown. And they ended up using a timeout there, and I believe this is where they're going to come with an option to our side right now. And we have a situation where our outside linebacker gets cracked to the inside. He's responsible for the pitch there, and we do not have a corner come up, and we're in trouble. So they go up 14-7, and here we get a pretty nice run back. We do a good job of getting some blocks, do a nice job of reading those blocks, and get it out to about almost the 30-yard line, about the 29, I believe. It's late in the half. We decided to go to the hurry. And Steve throws a nice pass out, and there's one of the 4 passes that were dropped for us throughout the night. Obviously would have been a first down for us. That's something that we are going to have to do a better job on next year if we want to be successful. We had way too many drop passes this year. Here we run a little option play off of our hurry, something we had not shown yet throughout the year, and Steve picks up some pretty good yardage. Since we get out of bounds and stop the clock, we go back under the center, run a counter sweep, and again behind some nice blocking of Adam Young and Kenny Cant, we pick up the first down with Justin Klein reading those blocks pretty well. We go back to the air, and Steve is hit right as he throws the football, and the ball's underthrown. 2nd down and 10. Run a bootleg, and then a screen off of it. Justin loses his footing, and they ended up reading it pretty well, and we miss a block out on the perimeter. The flag that you saw, they thought we had legal men downfield, but they took the flag up and waved it off because it was a pass behind the line of scrimmage. So the half ends with us trailing 14-7. Since we elected to take the wind in the first half, it's their choice in the second half, and they go ahead and take the football, and right away we give them a short field to work with. And also on that play, we end up having 2 injuries. Nate Schaefer ends up re-injuring his nagging injury that stopped him all year, and we lose him for the rest of the game. And Mike Johnson, our kicker, ends up bruising an area that injury he had. So now Mark Borchter comes in, and we're really not in bad shape there because Mark, for several weeks, started for us at one of the outside backers. Middle of the line, doing a nice job. Again, 3rd down. Put them in a lot of 3rd down situations, and giving them some credit, they do a nice job of converting. Here, I believe, is again their blast play, only instead of leading with their up back out of the Maryland eye, they go in their power eye and put the motion back as their kick out blocker. Staying with the power eye now, they end up running their belly play where they fake to the first man, give to the second man, and we do a pretty good job on first down of containing that play. They will also keep that, their quarterback will, where they fake to both men, and he ends up keeping it around the outside. 2nd down and about 7 or 8. They try their power, and as I said earlier, the second half we do a lot better job defensing them. Brings up 3rd and long. Quarterback directs him to get back into the Maryland eye. And here they come again. This time Reineke does a lot better job of reading it. He's right there. He doesn't make the tackle, but we have some other people come up and do a good job to force them into a 4th down situation. They elect to punt, try to draw us off by going down to a stance real quick. And here we mishandle the punt and then muff the ball. and end up starting very deep in our territory. But we challenged the defense to come out and give us a stop right away and give us an opportunity to score, and the defense does a nice job, especially considering we give them a short field. Now at halftime we decided to go with Scott Klein at the fullback spot. Scott runs that trap a little bit better, hits the hole a little bit quicker. We lose a little bit on size with him, but don't lose much on quickness or strength. So giving him a chance in there, and that's Justin Klein on a straight dive play, picking up some good yardage on second down. We come back and run a trap, and it ends up bouncing outside. They do a pretty nice job of coming underneath our trap block and causing us to run that play outside. Counter sweep, real nice blocking by Josh Bartley and Jason Jones, and as you can see, that makes running that ball a lot easier, and we can get some holes like that and some people moving around. And with that, we pick up a first down. We're getting close to midfield. Bo ends up plowing it to our 48 or 49 and picking up another first down situation. A lot of two-back sets in this game. There we are in a trap again, and Justin just gets tripped up a little bit. And I remember yelling at him out at that play that to pick up those feet, just like running the drills we do in practice when Coach has him run through the ropes. Here we run an option to the short side of the field and pick up some nice yardage. Good decision by Steve, and good job of being alert for the football with Scott Klein. Two Kleins in the backfield, Justin and Scott, different spelling. Here Justin makes a pretty good block on the outside, but there are other people close quickly. Bootleg pass. And here we have Brian Cleveland all alone behind his corner, who definitely would have went for a big gainer, but ends up dropping the ball, and that's our second drop of the night. So with a trap that doesn't work, that puts us in a punting situation. And as you can see up on the top of the screen, we've got a wide out there all by himself with nobody on him. And we're yelling to Tom to go ahead and hit him. It's an automatic. We get the ball down to the 25 for a first down, but you also saw some movement out of our right up back. So they call it back. Now they put somebody out on that top man. The element of surprise is wasted, and we ended up being forced to punt. Here Tom takes his eye off the ball and drops it, near disaster, but he has the presence of mind to pick it up and kind of sidewinds it, and we end up getting a heck of a nice punt out of it. And Aurora will try to start their drive on their own 16-yard line. Now there we bounce the play outside just like we would like it to, except our middle backer doesn't get there quick enough. You'll see here shortly where Bob and Adam both end up playing that play real well. Got a lot of people on the football that time, and the game is still at 14-7, still anybody's football game. Wind has died down a little, but it's still fairly windy. Okay, here, now that's exactly what we want done on that blast play. We get underneath the kick-out block, which, as I said earlier, does two things. It makes them run it where they don't want to run it, and it also lets our middle backer scrape free without getting sealed in. Bob called the fumble there, and we just about come up with a big play. So doing the things now that we practice for 5 or 6 days. Here they come on the belly keep, and again, with people reading their keys, we've got a lot of people up at the line of scrimmage on 2nd and long. That's Mark Borchter doing a nice job there, along with Brian Cleveland. It sure makes defense a lot easier when the players will read their keys and play their assignments the way that they have practiced them throughout the week. Kenny Cant's now in at our right tackle, giving Brad Davis a break. Kenny's going to be a great player for us. We need to get him a little bit more football savvy, but I think that will just come with a lot of repetitions. as Aurora likes to do in a lot of third down and long situations when they don't want to put the ball up deep in their own territory, they end up running a trap. Fortunately for us, a trap has been a play that we have played well most of the year. So on fourth down, they drop back into their punt formation. As you can see, it's been a game of field position here, and little by little, we're gaining field position. So now we start out again on their side of the football. And your chances of scoring, your percentages in your scoring drives are much, much higher when you can start in their side. On first down, Steve looks deep, and we have a wide open receiver who just runs by his corner on a three-step fade pattern, but Steve just overthrows it a little bit. Come back with a counter sweep. Great kick out block by Adam. That's Pat Trader up on top, stalking his man. And we're back in business with a nice run. Run another trap, and that's Scott Klein, as we mentioned before, and that's a great trap block by Adam White and Adam Young, center and guard, working together. Actually, the trap block was by Adam Young. We come back and throw a fade to the other side, and Scott never really does find the football. And the wind takes it deep into the end zone. So now we got third and about 1.5 or 2. And Steve is going to call just a straight dive with some wedge blocking up front. And it forces us into a 4th and short situation. We feel pretty confident in these. And we run some man blocking with a lead block in front of them. And that's a nice job by our lineman executing, and good job by a sophomore, Scott Klein, following Justin's block. And we're back in business with a first down on the 20-yard line. Here, run a trap again, and you can see some great hard running, some good hitting on both sides, and some doggone good blocking by our linemen. Second down and about a yard. We try to trap it. They blitz it, which kind of messes up our trap a little bit. Here we come with a counter sweep, and penetration will kill you. Anytime you're trying to counter somebody, penetration kills you. We saw that their defensive end was not paying attention to Steve, so we call a naked boot. And once Steve gets around him, it's home free. And he does a good job of finding the pylon and getting into the end zone, and the Tigers are back in business. We missed an extra point attempt, but it was no good. It looked dead center for everybody on the field, including the opposing coaches, but for some unknown reason, the officials called it no good, and I know they have a little better view than us, but that was a big play. It takes away a lot of momentum. That plus the fact that here we had a real nice drive, and now they get the ball back out to the 45-yard line. So we have a blocked PAT and poor execution by our return people, and that gives them the momentum they need. Here they tried that blast play again, but as we keep saying, the second half we played that much better. We force it to the outside. Brings up second and long. Here they run a counter, played very well. That's Bob Lannis, Justin Klein, Scott Reinecke. Several different kids in on the play. Third down and long. Now these next couple plays are crucial. Keep in mind, we just went down and scored 14-13. The score is right now. Even though we lost a little momentum on the block PAT and the good run back they had, we picked that momentum back up on 2 nice plays. Now they're in a third and fairly long situation, and again, our defensive back on that side is nowhere to be found. As a matter of fact, our safety ends up getting there before our corner, and to a tight end side situation, that should never ever happen. So their quarterback makes another big play, especially when they need it. Fourth down and short. If we can hold them here, we're back in business. They elect to call timeout. They're going to operate out of the power I set. And they sneak it. And we do a much, much better job, but they end up getting a pretty good spot and just barely do end up making the first down. So that gives them new life, new breath. First down from the 44-yard line. Here, again, they want to run it up inside. Justin Klein does a great job of wrong-arming that, coming underneath it. Brian Cleveland really has been giving us a nice effort on defense all year and is playing with a bruised sternum. Second half, we didn't think we were going to be able to use him, but the trainers thought as long as his pain tolerance was okay, we could go ahead, and Brian's a real gutty kid. Here's the only pass they throw of the day, and they end up completing it. And it's a pretty big play for them, second down and long. And we seem to have it covered pretty well, but our D-back, kind of lets the kid catch the ball and then it just seems happy to tackle him, where we'd like to see him come up and make the play on the ball there. Quarterback has still got it, gets outside, and again, that play has cost us dearly throughout the night. Jason Jones going in to spell one of our defensive ends. Second down and short. Again, our old nemesis, Sneak, picks up the first down yardage. Game was played on a pretty sloppy field, especially right in the middle. Once you got outside the hash marks, it wasn't too bad. Here they come back with the bread and butter play, pick up 5. It doesn't look like those plays are that devastating, but they're constantly picking up 4s and 5s and mixing in some 6s and 7s in there, and they end up putting together a pretty nice drive right here. They add 2 real nice drives on the night. Other than that, we felt we've defensed them about as good as anybody all year, but obviously not good enough to still be playing. Here our pursuit is real good, and we end up stretching that play out towards the sideline. And again, you saw some people coming up and making a nice play, but we end up getting a piece of his face mask, and that tacks on several more yards to a play that we felt we had defense fairly well. And it's just one of those unfortunate things. It's nothing that those kids are trying to do, but every once in a while you reach up and you grab a piece of that mask. Here they come outside, and a great, great play by Bobby Lannis and the rest of the right side of our defense. It's Kenny Cant getting over there from his position, Justin Klein and Scott Reinecke. And on that particular play, we had an injured Tiger. Here the quarterback keeps it. We're not playing that too bad there. Defensive corner does a nice job of coming up when he reads that play and the block down by the tight end. Taking a little more time to get the play here, crucial situation. But again, the whole time, anytime their center has that hand on the ball and their quarterback's up under the center, they can snap the ball, so it forces us to be in a situation where we're going to be ready to play. And they run the toss sweep, and Collingham goes in for what proved to be the winning touchdown. They're going to end up tacking one on here late in the game after we go for it on 4th down from deep inside our own territory. And those touchdowns really don't bother you that much as a coach, but certainly that drive right there was a well-executed drive on their part. We end up having some breakdowns on defense on some crucial situations. And as we talked about in the first part of the show, those 3rd down conversions are sure a telltale sign or a telltale statistic on how your year is going. And as we look back, we were not a good third down team on either offense or defense this year. They end up kicking it through the end zone with the wind behind their back, and so the Tigers are forced to start at the 20-yard line. Now, we're only down 8 points. We feel if we can put together a good drive, we're going to be back in business. Run a little off-tackle play and pick up a few. Run a counter sweep, and they have penetration from a stunting backer. And there again, it was a situation where we're on a combination block, and when we're on a combination block, the inside man is responsible for getting off on a stunting backer. Here they stunt a backer, and he goes in untouched, and there really is no excuse for that. When he goes in untouched, he's going to make something happen. Here on fourth down, we think it's a situation where we need to go for it. Steve can't find anybody, tries to make something happen, and there's about 3 minutes left in the football game, and we could have punted the ball there and hoped our defense would hold them, but the way, with the efficiency their offense was, going at it with, we did not feel that was the right time to kick it and expect our defense to hold them. We really hadn't consistently held them all night, so we elected to try for the first down, and we've made a lot of fourth down situations this year, and we felt confident that we had the right play called, but we end up not blocking it very well, and so now you're going to see them punch it in here in a few plays, and that's pretty much the football game. We'll go ahead and let the film run until they get into the end zone, and then we'll probably cut it off there. We end up coming out and running a few more plays, but time runs out, and the Tigers go down in a very tough defeat to take, 28-13, and we end up with a 4-6 record, and that's nothing that we can be proud of, but at the same time, it's nothing that we're going to be ashamed of. We felt for the most part our kids play hard throughout the year. We just need to buckle down this next year and make some adjustments during the off season and during the season so that we can be a little bit more successful in the one-loss column come next year.